Live from Castro's in Bedford, it's Michael Graham. It's not Saturday night or anything. Bashing a late night comedian, Jimmy Kimmel, which we're always happy to do, and so much other stuff to talk about. This is another edition of Cigars and Snark from New Hampshire Journal. And we're going to see how this goes. This is something we're experimenting with so far. So good on the first response. And because the topic is being canceled, cancel culture, how does cancel culture work? I thought I would let you hear from some people who have been canceled. Me. And also my one-time producer, now he's living in a cardboard box somewhere in northern Massachusetts, the great and powerful Tom Shattuck. Shattuck, welcome to the New Hampshire Journal podcast.
Thank you. By the way, you a reputed one-time comedian too. And should we start there? That we called.
Well, I wasn't the same kind of comedian as Kimmel. I wasn't the same kind because I told jokes.
Right.
So it was totally different. I actually wanted people to laugh at me. And as you know, Shattuck, people laugh at me all the time, separate from what I'm actually doing. So real quick, just so people know what's going on, particularly, I'm sure that we got some WTKK listeners around. What are you up to these days? How can we find you? And where's this weird studio you've got? And is that a Confederate flag? What flag
yes, it
is
is.
that?
As a matter of fact, it is. I am right now. I'm in near Newburyport, Massachusetts. This is my studio where I do Tom Shattuck's Burn Barrel podcast and a Shattuck show. I figure I'll beat people to death with the brand in lieu of quality.
Ouch.
And the All You Can Eat podcast. And I'm working in Boston right now for a developer, and we're looking at the Boston bike lanes, which is brutalist and dumb and has destroyed the Back Bay of Boston. So that's what we're up to.
So the Shattuck show me I'm
Shattuck show.
Okay.
Is that onomatopoeia or is that alliteration? What is it?
It's so funny. You'll try anything but talent. That's
correct.
Hilarious to me. That's always been the Shattuck model. You'll do everything except the actual work and writing and all that stuff.
Yeah.
No,
I don't have a standing army, so I have to use guerrilla warfare.
So let's cut to the chase.
Yeah.
The easy part for people to understand about the Jimmy Kimmel getting suspended, and I believe he'll never be back. More on that coming up. The easiest thing to understand is that people like me have been saying for years, free speech, free speech, stop bullying people what they say, leave them alone, cancel culture stinks, whatever. And absolutely, without a doubt, there should be no government involvement in your speech up to the point of whatever, like, going to kill somebody, so that's where, so we got that, right? That's the easy part to understand, right, Shattuck?
Yes.
Yep. So why is it then that people on the political right, like myself, like yourself, others, are not rushing to the defense of Jimmy Kimmel?
Speaking of Castro's right now, isn't this us sitting back with a cigar and watching this saying, how's it effing feel, you guys? How does
you reminded me because we were running a little late getting started. I have not got my cigar, which, by the way, is a Padron. This is one of my standard Friday afternoon cigars. Outstanding. Everything Padron does is great, and I love my Padrones, and I love having it here at Castro's in Bedford. And so anyway, so life's good. So you talk, and I'll do cigar things.
Yeah, well, I think that's what it is. Our side is sitting back now and saying, how's it effing feel after everything you did, after you made it a spectator sport to hunt down and destroy careers of conservatives, or not even conservatives, just people who don't toe the latest insane cultural lie. You went after us. You destroyed us. You made the country less fun. People can't joke anymore. I mean, you and I used to joke. We used to play the Monty Python Life of Brian skit where I want to be a woman, Reg. That was funny because obviously the whole premise is funny.
The story I've been dying to tell, just to put it. So this is what people don't. If you're not of the right, and particularly of the right media, you have no idea what it's like. Being a media person on the right is like being a Pepsi employee working on the factory of Coke. Everybody around you wants you to get fired. Any screw up, if you drop the wrench, you get fired. If you spin to something, the other guys can literally urinate into the product. The New York Times, how many horrible corrections have they had to do just in the Charlie Kirk story? Whatever happens, nothing, nobody. But if inside sources, New Hampshire Journal, the media that we're in, if we get something wrong, you're right wing, you're lying. And so this is the world we live in. So tell the story of the midgets.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that wasn't even. Yeah, we had a comedian. We had a Friday roundtable show, the Michael Graham show. And
no. Oh, that's right. The comedian. I forgot that one.
I
remember the Us ones. So there was a story, I think it was out of Texas, that a Starbucks hired
Oh,
a what do you call them?
yeah, yeah. Little person. That's right.
Little person, whatever. I'm not seriously. I'm not trying to be insulting. It's what do I?
Yeah.
It's like saying you're short, fat, tall, but there's a person who's very small, and the person wanted the job, and the guy was like, I don't know, man. I mean, we have a close working spaces, but yeah, sure, we'll give it a try. Which is that's the spirit we want, right, Shattuck? You want? Yeah, we'll give it a try. Well, they tried with the short person, the dwarf, the midget, whatever. And it just doesn't work. The guy literally can't reach the mugs. I'm sorry. You can't work at Starbucks if you can't reach the mugs. And he had like a little stool and the other employees were chipping on it. And so the manager looks up and there's a line out the door because everything's slowed down because physics. It has nothing. No one said the guy, I don't like you or you what? I will not be served by a dwarf. Nothing like that. It was just physics. So they say, look, we have to let you go. So this being America, what does the midget do?
They sue?
Right. So we're on the air and we're talking about this. And unbeknownst to us, there's a guy who's on public radio in Boston who has a family member with dwarfism.
That's right.
Complains. And he calls us. They want me fired. They want me fired for telling a story of what really happened. And by the way, the whole thing was that we were at all like, George, I hate dwarves. That was not what was going on. It was just, it was really a story of you can't do anyone a favor, that this is just the way it works. It's all identity politics and blah, blah, blah. And so they were organizing a protest. The station manager came and said they were going to protest.
Oh my goodness. That just goes to show you. And by the way, just to show you like the true nature of people, one of the guys in the studio that day with us when the story was talked about was a city councilor who later called us and said, do you guys mind if I slam you in the press? For talking about it.
Exactly.
No, do what you need to do.
And then a comedian made a joke about it and who was on the show. And the point is, they were always trying, when we were on the air in Boston, Massachusetts, as center right content, they were always trying to fire us. Always.
Exactly.
Constant lawsuits, constant protests. How many times do we have to go in and see a certain station manager whose name I will not mention, but you know who I'm talking about. And have her.
Anybody who's been in radio nationally knows who you're talking about. By the way, I've had these conversations. That's right. And so in very typical Michael Graham fashion, you were brought to bear. You were told to apologize. To which Michael Graham's usual reflex is to say "f off," which is what you did. And then you were suspended. Probably, I assume.
That's right. I was suspended for a day.
Right. And then we were told that
dwarf justice, whatever,
This is so serious.
By the way, I was dying for protests because first of all, you wouldn't know they're there. They can't see them. They're little tiny. And the second thing is, what would be better? I mean, how do you not send cameras to cover the tiny people protesting?
Of course. They said to us with a straight face that they're thinking of coming out here and protesting. There could be hundreds of little people out in front of the station.
That'd be great.
Radio stations back then even still had no promotion budget. That would have been the greatest thing in the world.
And so, of course, so forget the grief that we got for making fun of Barack Obama. Oh my gosh, you remember that? President Obama gets elected and we were told you have to change all your politics. It's a new day. It's a new revolution. You have to change. And this is once again from our bosses who were a private company. They owned the company. Of course, I got the job in Boston because I'd been fired in Washington, D.C. for saying blatantly true but unkind things about Islam. And I worked for ABC News Radio, the national company, and ABC dumped me. And was there any, First Amendment, free speech, blah, 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 nothing like that. The Washington Post coverage was get this hater out of here because that was so for 10 years, I've had to live in this environment where I have a gun to my career head. My kids may not eat every day. And now you want me to burst into tears for Jimmy Kimmel? Bite me.
Absolutely. And that Barack Obama thing, by the way, that was like 4 days after his election. And our program director said, stop it. People want to see him do well. Okay. I guess so. What are we supposed to do?
I don't know. I thought our job was to make fun of people in power. And by the way, we made fun of Mitt Romney a lot. We made fun of George W. Bush a lot. We made fun of John. I ran the website, My Dear John letter, when McCain was going to be the nominee because he was so awful. I thought he was so awful to have Republicans send him emails about why he shouldn't be the nominee. I mean, we're having fun and we were causing trouble. And nobody who is now demanding that, we're entering an era of fascism, insisting on that, was ever defended me or anyone else on the center right ever. We were completely alone all the time. And that's what I think the people who are looking at this don't get. They don't get where why is there such this backlash against people who are saying crappy things about Charlie Kirk? Part of it's they don't get who Charlie Kirk was. And I wasn't a Charlie Kirk guy. I mean, I think I interviewed him a couple of times really early on when he was still a teenager, but Charlie Kirk's lane isn't my lane. I didn't have a profound incident, but I get why this glaring double standard of you can't go to a rodeo and wear a Obama mask as the rodeo clown. Remember that guy who got fired?
Yeah.
And by the way, and the shtick was every president, like he did it, you know what I'm saying? Like they did it about everybody. Can't do about
remember,
he got fired.
Here's another one. Remember Bill Cunningham, who had a Sunday night show? He took over for Drudge. He went to a McCain rally and introduced and talked about the president or the candidate Barack Hussein Obama. He used his middle name, and they whacked him from his radio show. It's amazing.
The middle name. So you want people fired for accurately quoting people on the left, and now you're saying it's terrible. So now, once again, I'm going to say it again. I'm a Brendan Carr fan on the issue of broadband. He was the guy who first pointed out that ton of money that the Biden administration dumped on broadband, like $47 billion, never connected a single person to broadband. So I love him on stuff like that. But he was wrong to go on a podcast and say, you know, we can do this the hard way, the easy way. He was wrong to use the threat of the government. Every time Trump says, you know, the government, I'm going to come after whatever. That obviously I hate that and it's stupid, but I'm sorry. It's hard to build up a lot of moral outrage for you people. You people don't deserve it. You don't believe in free speech. And this is what scares me. I know, Shattuck, you're part of this new populist, you know, knuckle dragging, mouth breathing right. You guys want to, you know, throw out the Constitution and impose your order. This is my message to the folks on the left. If the right gives up its adherence to the principle of free speech, there's no one left, because the left does not. They actually don't believe in free speech, and that's, I think, needs to be part of the conversation more on that. So, you tell me, Shattuck, you are in Massachusetts. Is there any sense that this is the chickens coming home to roost among the deep, deep blue people that you live with?
Well, unfortunately, I think that Massachusetts is cloistered off from the rest of the country. It's Massachusetts and California, I think, somehow are immune from a common sense slap. We're immune from the smelling salt. So, I don't think so. I don't think in Massachusetts, I think we're so incredibly far gone. We have a mayor who has segregated Christmas parties, and they advertise it.
Right.
There are nights when it's where it's blacks only, nights when it's Latinos only. There's no white night. That's fine. I would have a problem if there were. And like we have, when I was with Boston Herald a few years ago, the Massachusetts, the Democrats in the legislature had rung up hundreds of dollars worth of Chinese food, late night partying Chinese food. They were drinking and boozing and having Chinese food at the State House.
No.
Right, on the taxpayer's dime, right? So the Herald got the order. They found the Chinese restaurant. They had to FOIA all this, obviously, because they were never going to get it. They find the Chinese restaurant. They get the list of everything that was ordered. And on the front page of the Herald, we put an instance of Chinese food there, crab rangoon, those iconic little boxes. They went after us. A city councilor named Michelle Wu, a city councilor, now the mayor of Boston, went after us. The Boston Globe went after us. Yep. The Boston Globe, Shirley DeYoung went after us and went after our advertisers and said, why are you advertising with the Herald when they're putting anti-Asian? We literally had a picture of Chinese food that was eaten at the State House. But you weren't allowed to do it.
Because if the truth is racist or sexist or whatever, then you have to hide the truth. And that really is the kind of the engine underneath all this, is people who have been trying to tell the truth, and obviously doing talk radio snarkily, cigars and snark, you know, mean-spiritedly, but still trying to tell the truth, being told what you're saying isn't inaccurate. It's true. That's why you can't say it. And and by the way, the going after the advertisers thing, there were state legislators who were attacking the advertisers at WTKK and telling them to stop advertising with us. I thought that was bad. I thought people in government power, you know, interfering with speech was bad. But nobody when you complain, they called you a whiner, because basically, well, you deserve it. You know, this is like your thing. So
one last story that involves you on this same topic is the general manager or the president of the company, that radio station, was at a fancy cocktail party with a big gun grabber in Massachusetts, a guy named John Rosenthal, who's a big anti-Second Amendment guy. He hates the Second Amendment. He claims that he loves it, like they all do. He says he has a gun and he's all for it. But anyway, so he made the president of the company Rosenthal made you to have him come on the air, and so you debated Rosenthal. You beat him in the debate. You upset him. He then complained to the president of the company, who then came down on you.
So I'm going to tell a story that I don't know that I've ever told on air. I'm going to leave out names because it's not worth it, whatever. But someone very senior at the company that owned WTKK was trying to explain to me why I was what were we, number 2 or 3 in the market in the afternoon drive? Men. Sometimes with men, we were number 1, number 2. The point was we were making, we were doing very well. I would argue because the rest of the stations just stunk, and that was that was all they had, whatever. The point is the station did well. The station made money. Our show did well. And yet they shut the station down. They flipped it to hip hop music. My audition as Rap Master G Money did not go as well as I'd hoped. And so I was out of a job. It's not a coincidence that they flipped from talk radio to hip hop music. Because for years, there had been an effort involving lawfare, people just random lawsuits against me, against other hosts like Jay Severin, against the station, the constant attacks. And as someone told me, I got tired of going to charity events and having people say to me, how can you put Michael Graham and Jay Severin on the air? So eventually the station, there's just like, it's not worth it. Yes, we're making money, but it's just the benefit with all the hassles, just not worth it. It's the first example, because that was back in 2013. It's the first example I can think of a cancel culture success. And we were there, and here we are now. And people are saying, oh my gosh, Jimmy Kimmel, cancer culture. Well, I don't want the government involved, but I'll tell you why ABC's firing him. First of all, he stinks. Second of all, he has. Did you know that in the demo, which in radio lingo, people age 25 to 54, he had fewer than 150,000 viewers? I mean, there are radio stations that have more than that on a show. So he's terrible ratings, but also he turned the show into this place where if you didn't hate Donald Trump, you weren't welcome. I think I can say honestly, in the peak heyday of Rush Limbaugh, he started getting more partisan later, after he started meeting presidents. But do you remember when he was, in the glory days of Rush Limbaugh? Don't you agree that liberals, Democrats, everybody enjoyed the show? It was just a fun show.
It was a fun show.
It was just fun, and you could be there. And I'd like to think, and based on feedback we got, we had a lot of people who did not agree with my politics who listened to the show. We were just having fun. And who was against fun? Who was saying, no, you can't have fun that way? It's the people who are defending Jimmy Kimmel. I'm sorry. That's why people aren't on your side. And that's why they aren't freaking out, even though I think what the Trump administration is doing is bad. I'm not going to freak out about it under these circumstances.
Well,
is that a fair description, do you think?
Yes, that's fair. But also, I think it goes back to showing just how dark they are inside. And I don't know if my wife would say it's demonic, but remember when Rush Limbaugh had to take a break because he got addicted to painkillers? Right. They were laughing at him. Oh, they got him. Oh, they found Viagra. Ha, 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 ha. Rush is a druggie now. Ha, ha, ha. And there was no moment of grace for these people. To Rush's death, obviously, it was, yay. When Scalia died, immediately they couldn't contain themselves. And that's another part of it, I think, is too much of the country saw this brutal slaughter of Charlie Kirk, it doesn't get much more graphic than that. This man's life leaves him immediately. And people saw it, and it's traumatizing. Just as a human, as a being, as an animal person, you see that and you say, oh, that's not good. But some people reflexively saw that and went to belly laughing.
Yeah, and this is one of my failures because politics is my fun, it's my sport. I tell people when I was doing radio, I was a sportscaster of politics. I followed politics the way that sports shows follow sports. And so when you get into it and it's your thing, you forget that normal people don't live like that. Yeah. I didn't realize until I had some conversations with some people and saw the shock on their face. Oh my gosh. Watching Charlie Kirk die that way. And I saw the horror video, the one you're talking about, for 2 seconds, and I turned it off. I'm like, I don't want this. That had an impact on people for real. I mean, it's not everything is partisan, my side, your side. Of course, Rush Limbaugh said he wanted Barack Obama to fail. Of course he did. He was Rush Limbaugh. That's politician, politics guy versus politics guy. But a 31-year-old dad of 2, a married guy, murdered right in front of you that way, it really impacted people. And the fact that the Fields team, which is the team of the left. It's the team on the left is the feels team. Team on the right is the thinks team, although sometimes they don't think very well, but theoretically, the feels team has no understanding of what this feels. They have no respect for your feeling. They have no grace for your feeling. They have no sympathy for your feeling. And I'm like, what a jerk. What a jerk way to go through life, man.
Well, yeah. Not only that, but they feel like you and I, if they think that Charlie Kirk, because he's a Christian, because he's a trad guy with a wife and two kids, if they think that he, because of those things, deserves to die, well, then they think that their neighbors deserve to die too. Like, if you're a progressive person who's Facebooking about how it's great that Charlie Kirk is gone right now, they also think that you should go and I should go. Like, this is what they think of neighbors. What are lawn signs anyway? Hate has no home here is saying that it has our home over here, but just not in this house. My neighbors are Nazis, but I'm not, just so you know.
No, when the signs that hate has no home here translates into, and if you try to bring your hate, we will shoot you out the front door, which comes back to my motto. I'm not upset that you're wrong. Why are you so mad that I am? In other words, Charlie Kirk said stuff was good and stuff was bad. He said there was a right way to live and a wrong way to live. So disagree with him. So what? And he, setting aside the fact that he was willing to come to your college campus surrounded by screaming liberals and have the conversation with you. So which is something, a good thing in and of itself. So what do you care that Charlie Kirk thought you were living in sin? Maybe it's because I grew up in church. And so every Sunday I had a guy standing up looking at me going, you're living in sin. This is the worldview. Muslims think you're living in sin for violating their rule, on and on and on. Why are you so angry that someone disapproves of your views or your life? So what? You don't live your life for them, live your life for you. And and this is one thing that particularly is true about the people who are trying to advance the biological idiocy that you can change your biological sex through mind power, which sounds like a Monty Python bit. If I sit and concentrate, I will, I can make myself into a woman. No, you can't. The reason why they always burst into tears, the reason why they call you a hater, the reason why they make the words microaggression, because they know they can't defend what they're saying. Anyone who says there are more than two sexes, biologically speaking, is an idiot. They're an idiot, and they know they're an idiot. So you can't talk. And that's why they had to silence people who say that. And most of the times they silence you by getting you fired, by getting you kicked. And when I was a commentator for CBS News for a couple of years, right before I came to Inside Sources, you had really careful conversations because we could feel the barrel of the gun at our head, and they were taking a risk just by having me on their programming, and I knew it, and so I tried to respect that. But I'm like, this is stupid. Why? But that's the world. But see, people on the right know that's the world you live in. People on the left have never had to live in that world, and that's why they don't get it.
No, it's like a unique situation that you work, and you know that the entire news department hates you.
Yeah,
and resents what you're doing in between their rip and read AP, generic.
The looks that people used to give us, because it wasn't just one station. It was, I think, 5 stations, right? So you had like a country station, rock station. They're all full of media people who are all overwhelmingly on the left. Plus, we were in Boston, so they were on the left. And we would walk down the hall, and people just glare at us for our opinions. But what the hell?
Hey, somebody had posted Charlie Kirk. It was a racist, xenophobe, transphobe, misogynist, but he didn't deserve to die. This is a Facebook post. The question is, then what did he deserve?
Exactly.
Like, what are you saying? Did he deserve like a brutal beatdown to be in the rack?
He deserved to be silenced and banned. He deserved to not be allowed to speak. He deserved to, you can't have him. It's just, think about all, Governor Gavin Newsom had Charlie Kirk on the show, and there are people said they were morally outraged. How dare you let him speak? All I got to say now is welcome to the party, pal. You've been telling people who have our views for my entire career that we're not supposed to speak. And now some people are telling that to you. And once again, the government should not be doing this. But should ABC fire Jimmy Kimmel? Of course they should. First of all, he sucks. He's not funny. And second of all, he took this moment and took the opportunity. I want to say something bad about you, the supporter. I don't want to say something bad about Charlie Kirk even. I want to get you, the people who support him, for not admitting that it was a MAGA person who killed him.
Right. He was using his show for his own therapy, and because he's in a dark and sad and bad place. And
And
obviously
it,
it's because he cries. Since when do comedians cry regularly? But
by
him
the
and
way,
Colbert were doing it.
how great is it that Gutfeld, who was on our show several times, remember we
Yep.
did the Fisher House fundraisers, and he was always willing to give us time for that, which thank you, sir.
Hmm.
Um,
It's funny you say that because a lot of the bad people were, including
yeah,
Bill O'Reilly, always showed up.
absolutely. Fisher House helping our veterans. If you don't know, Fisher House is like a Ronald McDonald House at military hospitals. So if active duty military injured in combat, or if it's a veteran who's getting VA services, instead of being stuck in a hospital room by themselves while their spouse is in a hotel, they stay in these rooms, suites together. And they have, in fact, they just opened their 100th Fisher House this July,
Wow.
Shattuck, and I was there. I was in Chicago. In fact, you know what it is?
Boy.
It's at the base where Trump sent the National Guard troops to go into Chicago. But there's a military hospital there named after Commander Lovell. You remember him? Apollo
Jim
13?
Lovell. Yes.
He died a week later. He was there at the
Oh,
event. I
wow.
got to meet him. Yeah. And just a great, but my point is it's a great cause. And you know, who showed up to support it? All these people who are evil haters showed up to support it. And that's because, and you know what?
Yeah.
People on the left, we had city councilors from Boston who don't agree with me, and they supported it. They were, you know, actors types, you know,
Yep.
celebrity types.
John Kerry.
Yeah, do not support me. They were happy to support it.
Mhm.
And I happen to think that that's most of America. But if the nice people who don't agree with politics on the right keep shouting, shut up, shut up, shut up, you're not nice anymore. You've now
No.
fallen into that. And I agree with you. I don't want people on the right doing the same thing. And there's a lot of them who want to, and they're the Shattuck people who are all part of this knuckle dragging new movement in the party. But I will stand up against them too. But you're standing with me as a hypocrite because you don't mean it. And that brings to the
No.
last, the other thing I want to talk about, which is I'm getting a lot of pushback for saying that the left has a unique problem with political violence, just like Islam has a unique problem with religious violence. It's not that there aren't violent Christians and Muslims or Jews, whatever, you know. It's not that and certainly not by any stretch is every Muslim. If every Muslim was violent, the world would be all Muslim and we'd all be dead because there's a billion people. So clearly it's a problem it's a subset, it's a small subset. And the same on the political left. The people willing to be violent are a small subset. But there's two things. It's not that small. Go to Portland, go to Seattle, you know, go to look at the Antifa. We just, the border security agent who was killed in Vermont was killed by a
like weird trans cult.
Yeah. And I don't know if they were directly Antifa, but they were in that same, you know, pudding of thinking.
Yeah.
It's because just as fundamentalist Islam has room for violence in the name of Islam, you know, jihad connected to violence, there's if you teach people over and over again that words are violence, if you teach them what we know universities and more high schools now are teaching, which is that words are violence, and that, you know, there is no objective reality, and that we invent our reality through our words, and we can create a great socialist, you know, nirvana if we all stop the microaggressions and we silence the evil people. If you keep saying that, you end up with people who believe it. You end up with the equivalent of that guy at the Pulse nightclub who had never been to the Middle East, but declared himself an ISIS warrior and murdered all those people at a gay nightclub in the name of ISIS, because some people will think you mean it. And so because the right doesn't have that, you know, back in the old days, in the horrible days, you had white supremacists, and it's still some out there, I'm sure. But, you know what I mean? There was the KKK was this white supremacist movement. It's largely gone, thank God. Well, there's a movement on the left that really embraces violence, and you don't have to mention Mao and Stalin to get there. And I just wish people on the left would stand up and say, yes, this crazy university indoctrination into this crazy worldview. First of all, it's just garbage intellectually, but secondly, it's causing a problem. And all I get is no. It's all the same. The right's just the same. Like, who on the right is arguing that? I'm sure there are people on Twitter who are saying, because people on Twitter are saying everything. You got 330 million people. Where is the movement that says we have to solve this problem by addressing it with violence? On the left, there's an entire small but popular in the commanding heights of culture, universities and media. There's a bunch of John Podhoretz over at the Commentary podcast is pointing out these new shows that are coming out that basically are celebrating the Luigi Mangione view of politics, which is some people are so bad you just have to kill them in the name
Yeah.
of politics. Where is that on the right?
It doesn't exist in the right. No, it doesn't. Because, like as you said, the right now has no parameters as to where free speech is prohibited anymore. A lot of it's thanks to a lot of these comedians who now have podcasts, and they've made the right conversations happening on the right limitless. And you're allowed to have whoever else we want to have on. You're allowed to have forbidden conversations. But you're right, on the left, you want to talk about like bringing it around here in academia. 2 years ago, half the students at Columbia University and around the country discovered the Bin Laden manifesto and liked it. Seriously. And said, wow, this guy's onto something. Isn't this incredible? And if
what's funny? Can I interrupt right there? Because you mentioned colleges. If you were the people who wrote The West Wing back in the 1990s, and you were going to do a story about a college campus where they were beating up the Jews and screaming at the Jews and not letting Jews, it would have been like whatever, Oral Roberts University. You know what I mean? Like it would have been Hillsdale. But of course, that never happened at Oral Roberts and Hillsdale, but it really happened at Columbia, Harvard,
yes,
etc. And they still haven't put the pieces together.
No, yeah, it's funny because the West Wing, like their first post 9/11 show was essentially a bunch of Republicans lynching Indian guys because they had head scarves or whatever,
right?
Which is, but yeah, academia is it's poison. But so they have these factories of indoctrination, and they're minting hundreds of thousands of these graduates every year. How do you fight that? How do you fight that? Unless the college bubble breaks, half these places go under. But I was hoping Doge might help with that. Like, just it has to collapse. It has to collapse. These people on the left, they're freaking joyless, absolutely joyless. And that's what I like.
It seems that way, and that's just I don't get that. When I was growing up, the people on the left are the ones who were smoking pot and chasing girls. I mean, that was the thing. And now,
yes,
like this all there's the people saying, "Don't you have fun? Did you have fun?" I don't think that was approved fun. I mean, when did that happen? Come on, jeez. If you tell jokes that are actually funny, you'll get labeled a right-wing comedian. Let me see if you can guess what I'm thinking of. I've been saying it. Telling jokes about transgender people and getting canceled. Who am I talking about?
Jerry Callahan?
Ever. No, funniest comedian.
Chappelle.
Yes, Dave Chappelle. Speaking on behalf of right-wingers everywhere, we'll take Dave Chappelle. He's freaking hilarious, man. And so I'll take him. Look, we got to wrap up. I'm annoying enough people here at Castro's in Bedford. I do, however, have to make some record. Hey, Curtis, can I get a black Bush neat, please? I had something happen, Shattuck, that's a violation of the terms of the New Hampshire Journal Cigars and Snark podcast. I drank water in front of the camera. So I want to make it clear to everybody, I don't normally drink water. But anyway, listen, I appreciate you joining, man. Thanks so much for your time. Thanks for being part of the podcast.
Thanks. See ya.